Sometimes the same people who applaud you for planting the seed will be the same ones who criticize you for reaping the harvest. But why does this happen? It's because the enemy has no issue with you planting a seed. He has a big issue with you reaping a harvest, because he knows that if you just plant a seed and walk away from it thinking that you've done your job, he can swoop right in and snatch it up before it has the ability to take root. That's why it's important to see things all the way through. But when we see things all the way through, we can rest assured that there are going to be people coming out of the woodwork to criticize us for it. But it's not because you're doing anything wrong. It's because you're doing it right. And when you're doing it right, the enemy gets mad. And when the enemy gets mad, he starts whispering in people's ears about you. And when he whispers in people's ears about you and they open their mouth before they take it to God, it comes out as criticism. But I want to encourage you today not to let that stop you. God loves to reward us for our obedience. And obedience doesn't always look like doing the thing and then walking away. Sometimes obedience looks like planting the seed and seeing it all the way through to the harvest. I'll give you a personal example. My husband brought this to my attention the other day. He said, "Did you notice how nobody ever had an issue with you actually writing the book until it started to sell? Nobody criticized that I was writing a book about Jesus. The only time they started criticizing me for it was when it actually started getting into people's hands and changing their lives. That was when they had a problem with it. But I don't actually believe that it was them who had a problem with it. I think it was thoughts being put in their mind. Anyway, that's another story. The point is, when you start facing criticism, there's a good chance that you're actually doing it right. Because if I had just planted a seed, if I had just written the book and then took my hands off of it, never talked about it, never let anyone know that I wrote a book, never promoted the message in any way, it would never have gotten seen. It would have gotten buried under piles and piles of books that people write every day. But because God gave me that little nudge to keep pushing it, keep talking about it, keep spreading this message, now it's transforming people. And it's not because of what I did, it's because I was obedient to what he told me to do. And I know there's always the argument that our rewards are saved for heaven, as if we're not supposed to experience the goodness of God in the land of the living. In Ecclesiastes, it says that there is a time and a season for everything under heaven. That means on earth. And one of those things is a time to plant and a time to harvest. So if you've planted something out of obedience and God is asking you to see it all the way through, don't stop when you get criticism. Don't stop when you get discouraged. You keep going until you see that harvest, because it is so great. But one of the awesome things about God is that his blessings always spill onto other people. So whatever seed you're sowing and whatever harvest you're reaping, other people are going to benefit from that too. But they can't benefit if you sow the seed and walk away, unless that's what God's called you to do. See it through and you'll get to the harvest. And if you're trying to grow your relationship deeper with God and you're interested in that book that I mentioned earlier, this is it. 7 Days to a Life of Limitless. If you're not sure if it's for you or not, you can go check out the reviews for yourself. I also wrote a journal to go with it called Go Ask God the Journal. It's 120 question prompts. Ask God questions, write the answers down below, and it helps you practice hearing his voice. If you think either of these things could help you on your journey, they're available on TikTok Shop, on Amazon, or at yourfriendcaitlin.com.